Osfag here. I'll tell a story from when I was on a road trip a few years back. Be me. Decide one night after drinking heavily together a few friends and go on a road trip to Sydney from Adelaide for the long weekend. Pack the van, figure it'll be more than a day's trip, so we will have to camp out for a night unless friends want to keep driving throughout the night. We leave fairly late in the day because we underestimate how lazy hungover we all are. Get on the road at around lunchtime. Make good progress, flooring it on the highway. It starts to get quite late into the night and we've all had a turn driving. Friend starts to feel really uneasy and carsick. Fuck it, we will just pull over and camp for the night. Friend gets increasingly sick throughout the night, starts throwing up constantly into plastic bags in the van. No way in fuck I'm sleeping in the van. Myself and my other mate set up our swags kinda like a mini tent sleeping bag for one person out in a rest and revive station set up along the highway, but within eyeshot of the van. Beautiful night, full moon, bright as shit. Swag has a flap you can't open so you can see out at the sky, but with mesh to protect you from bugs and shit. Decide to leave mine open to talk to mate and watch the stars. Eventually fall asleep with the flap still open. I wake up in the middle of the night due to something dropping onto hitting my face. It feels warm. It smells horrible. I start to absolutely freak the fuck out, but I'm frozen with fear. What the fuck is going on? My eyes slowly adjust and I can see a silhouette of something peering into my swag. I violently close my eyes and pray to fucking God that I don't die. The swag shudders suddenly as if something climbed on top of it, but then the silhouette disappears. I hear the van door open and then running. Sick friend rushes over to my swag and unzips in hysterics. Are you fucking okay? Oh God, I watched it the whole time. Where the fuck is Aaron? We both turn on our phone torches and leg it over to his swag. It looks as if it has been dragged a few meters and the pegs are out of the ground. He's literally fucking frozen and wide-eyed. He starts whimpering, crying. We grab him up and bolt to the van. Lock the doors. Huddle on the floor under a blanket for the next few hours until sunup. 3 grown men cowering in fear. The next morning we start the van and just drive, leaving our shit behind. Come to the nearest police station in Horsham. Tell cops our story. They follow us back to where we were set up for the night. Sure enough, Aaron's swag had been moved, a trail from where we first set it up. The top of both of our swags is spattered in something looks like spots of dried saliva on the mesh, smells awful. Like decayed meat. Pack our shit up and leave, back towards Adelaide. We have no fucking idea what happened that night. Cops think it may have been some sort of animal. Mark is adamant that whatever he saw outside the van was stooped over and moved erratically, never camping out during the night again. Fuck my country so hard. B17. Uncle is letting me stay at his old farm for the weekend. Just outside of this small town, relatively quiet and lonely place. Huge open fields, surrounded by woods, there's a grain silo in the barn with a few animals, chickens, 2 turkeys, a goat, even a peacock some fucking how. He drives into the city for the weekend to sleep with this girl he's into. Anon, I'm leaving you the place. Just make sure to feed the animals once a day and if you drink all the beer, pay for it, kinda winks at me. Cool uncle. JPG. Of course, invite friends and some girls over for drinking and romantic country walks, also GoldenEye because fuck yeah. There's me, Eric, Robert, and Jeremy along with Ellie, Diana and Jessica. Super into Diana, 8 out of 10 Hispanic Asian chick, weirdest boner NA. So we start drinking, messing around in the garage. I tell everyone we should to the barn and get up in the top area and fuck around. We get up there, bring some food and some more beer, start talking, get in a big circle. Diana sits right next to me. Boner.avi. Everything's normal at first, we start sharing ghost stories. She starts telling us about La Llorona or whatnot, crying ghost lady. Mildly spooky, but she has a cute little mouse voice so it loses atmosphere. Her head kinda falls on my shoulder, There's one of those hanging workman's lamp things lighting up the barn. I don't remember what they're called right now. Everyone's kinda silent, just thinking, sipping at their beer or murmuring. I start to smell this disgusting smell like rotted meat dipped in perfume. It was sick but sweet. I push it off as dead mice or something stupid. I was kind of an idiot at 17, still am. Keque. Put my arm around Diana, ask if anyone wants more beer, offer to go back to the house to get it. Sure, faggot, one of my friends, probably Robert. Get up, brush myself off and head for the ladder to get down. The fucking ladder is missing. Too annoyed to be scared, turn and ask who messed with the ladder. Everyone looks genuinely mystified at the missing ladder, shrug, decide it probably fell down and I can't see it. Figure I'll just drop through the hole, brace myself for the drop and put the ladder back up on the way back. I get to the edge of the hole, smell that gross fucking smell again and almost stop, but don't wanna look like a pussy. Drop my feet through the hole, start to lower myself down when I feel something wet smack against my exposed ankle. Pushed myself back up so fucking fast with the bitchiest yelp I've ever made or heard, scramble away from the hole. What's up, fag? Probably fucking Robert again, wasn't in the mood. Either the turkeys have super long, wet necks now or there's someone down there that grabbed my leg. Very funny and on.bmp. I'm fucking serious, assholes. I kick my leg out to show them where the guy or whatever touched me. There's this brownish, reddish goop on my ankle. It's sticky and smells like that rotted meat put on display at a department store from before. What is that, Anon? One of the girls asks. I have no idea, so I shake my head. Tell them I'm gonna chill up here for a bit and someone else can head down if they want. Eric gets up to take a look, but is obviously frightened as fuck like he should be. That smell is hanging around, thick and cloying. He looks down the hole to the ground level and backs away slowly. That's when we hear it. Who fussed with splatter? Everyone freezes. Ellie is all over Eric now, everyone's too afraid to move. The voice was flat and slow, like some sort of fucking mongoloid trying to figure out how to into words. It keeps repeating it, the sound slowly changing over time. We're huddling up together, everyone's here so we know it's no one fucking with us and my uncle doesn't have any neighbors for miles. Who fucked with the ladder? Everyone turns to look at me. That was my fucking voice, what the fuck? Shake my head vigorously and realize the creature was practicing with my voice and is now saying other things in my voice, catching on to the speech way more quickly than before. None of us have cell phones because this is the late-ish 90s, so we couldn't really call the cops or anything. We're all just kind of huddled together, trying not to talk because hearing it say things we have is extremely disconcerting. Silently thankful it was stupid enough to remove the ladder. The smell starts to fade slowly, and I figure it's gone by the time the stench is gone. Get balls of steel out of nowhere, decide we should all drop down and make a break for the house. Everyone sort of agrees. Jeremy and Jess don't want to be left alone, so they end up agreeing. The 8 of us all collect around the hole and take a peek. We don't see anything but some smears of that reddish brown goop on the floor. Push it to the back of my mind, decide I'll go first, drop down, wave everyone down. We were all sort of uncoordinated and fucked up from what beer we'd had, but thankfully it wasn't much. Everyone's down in a few moments. We grab hands like 5-year-olds and start to walk to the house at a brisk pace, not wanting to draw its attention and not wanting to trample each other like retards. We hear this wet fucking smack on the concrete floor of the barn. Fuck this, nope, done. Everyone starts to run, barely holding each other's hands. My hand slips from Diana's for a moment, but a strong, warm hand grabs it again and no one calls out like they're lost. All 8 of us return to the house. Wait. 8? Me, Eric, Jeremy, Robert, Diana, Ellie, Jessica. That's 7. Everyone seems to realize this and nopes the fuck out, looking at everyone else. There were only 7 of us again. I want to puke when I realize it wasn't Diana's hand I grabbed the second time. But for some reason it didn't follow us into the house. Maybe it wasn't a fan of late 70s decor, I don't fucking know. We scramble through the living room. I stop and grab my uncle's compound bow and a few arrows from the display cabinet for some reason. As if I'm gonna knock a fucking arrow and kill this fucking X-Files motherfucker when I haven't gone hunting in over a year. Everyone piles up into the kitchen. It's raised up and away from the living room and kind of looks out onto it, where the main door is. I sit and watch over the sink, fingers fucking trembling, barely able to hold the fucking $1,000 bow in my hand, might as well be a paperweight. We hear the sweat smacking and thudding against the front door, the screen door shaking as well. It's asking in my voice and others now to be let in, slowly stringing together words from other sentences it heard to make its own. It stops after a while and we start to calm down. I go to find the phone. While I'm doing this, I hear the soft tapping on glass. I freeze and I spin around. This jerking, twisting amalgamation of flesh, wearing a mix of all of our faces, is tapping almost politely at the sliding glass door of the patio. I lose my shit and almost go to draw and shoot, but something tells me it can't enter the house without being invited. I inch away slowly. Its eyes are following me up to the kitchen, and it stares at me, just tapping and tapping. We all keep a watch, but it can't really do anything, so it jerks, slithers, shifts away and tries the front door again. It continues into the light of the morning. We all said fuck it the next day. I left the bag of feed open for all the animals and we drove to Robert's house and camped out on the basement for Saturday and Sunday. My uncle acted pretty weird when I brought it up, and moved out 2 months later. We never spoke again. I think he tried to sacrifice me to it or some fucking shit. Alright gunfuckers, here's one that happened a few summers ago. Live out near Texarkana. Parents have farm with a few cows, horses, and too many chickens to count. Farm sits on the boundary between woods and plains. Trees are sparse but thicken up like crazy toward backup property. Parents gone to Corpus Christi for vacation, so of course I have to take care of all the animals. Tack the heat wave passing through onto that, and it's basically constant care making sure they're watered. My favorite .ogg. Closest friends are out of town for the week. Farm is about 20 miles outside city limits, so I can rule getting my dick wet out of the roster of activities. Split time up between feeding animals and sighting in my new SIG 556 I got for graduation. Wake up one morning, one of our older horses had died. She had plenty of water, but the heat must have just been too much for her, poor girl. I phoned Dad. He tells me to go to neighbor Frank a few miles down the road. He has a backhoe. Go to Frank, tell him my situation. He follows me back home with the thing and fills me in on how to operate, not too different from a tractor, so I'm set. Tells me he'll be back the next morning for the backhoe. Set to work digging Empress grave, fill it in, offer a moment of silence, shed a manly tear. Suddenly inspiration.wav. Turn the backhoe back on and chug-a-lug to the back of the property. 30 plus acres and not a single berm for shooting? Madness. Don't bother telling parents because they wouldn't give a fuck. Start digging a berm, leave the trench forest side. Suddenly smell this dank, shitty odor. Panic and think I hit a sewer line. I'm gonna get it. Gif. Hop down out of cabin, search the trench for busted pipe, none to be found. Suddenly feel uneasy, feeling of being watched. Scan tree line and surrounding field. Zip. Chalk it up to dead horse and residual guilt, but still tactically back to backhoe. Glad I left it running. Txt. Chug-a-lug back to farm, turn it off and head inside. Get up early next morning, make a big country breakfast and go out to feed some motherfucking critters. Go out to do the horse's routine, but with one less chunk of hay on the wheelbarrow. Sad face.png. Suddenly waft a most unpleasant vapor. It's smelly smell from yesterday, mixed with rot. Head out on a hunch to where I buried Empress. Stagger and nearly puke. The grave's been robbed. Her head has been placed, emphasis on placed, upright near a largish hole in the ground. Tongue has been ripped out, eyelids gone, an eye has been popped, her cheeks and neck look chewed on. Maggots crawling around the wounds. Vitreous humor dry and crusty running down one cheek. seen dead animals and scavenging before, this trumps all in my book. Plus, I love that Horsothus is disturbing on a number of levels. Hear squealing sound behind me, brick my shorts. It's neighbor Frank. He asks why I look so pale, tell him coyotes dug up the horse. Bullshit. I dug that grave at least 7 feet deep. He nods and leaves with backhoe. I play car shuffle again to get him back to his truck. Get home, carefully tip Empress head back down the grave with a shovel and rebury her. Go into garage, slop some coyote urine around grave to keep the fuckers away. It pays to have a family as into hunting as mine. Fast forward to that afternoon. Head out on four-wheeler with a few targets, my SIG and my moist nugget. Trashy? Yes. Cheap? Also yes, for a little sight calibration. Go to set up targets, realize I didn't bring anything to actually set them up on. Punch self. Go into trees to grab some sticks. As I approach, get the same feeling as the day before. Go into trees, grab some suitable sticks, and do the nope scoot back to my site. Whittle sticks into stakes, makeshift a few targets into side of berm, get my SIG calibrated to within acceptable parameters and operate on the clean target for a few minutes with the nugget. After a while, realize it's getting dark. Decide to take targets and shit down, clean up my brass and head back. Leave no trace. BSA. As I'm taking the targets down, the afternoon breeze shifts and suddenly stank. Hear movement from other side of berm and nearly nope a small but sturdy wall in my pants. Decide not to be a pussy, grab my SIG and climb the berm to have a little peek. See medium-sized black shape huddled down in the trench. Aren't you cute? JPG. Figure it's a black bear cub or something. They're more common than most folks realize, and back away slowly in case mama's nearby. Clumsy ham-hand accidentally a shower of dirt onto the cub. It looks up at me. That's no cub. MP4. Lemma just say that while I'm not the original badass, creepy or spooky images and shit don't frighten me that easily. Shit, when I was little one of my favorite pets was Delightful, an older Welsh pony with no eyes. Her eye holes were, in fact, sewn over and sunken in. She made one of my friends cry just by looking at him. That being said, this thing was on a completely other level, spectrum, and set of physics from that sweet old pony. Best way I can describe it is comparing it to pig-related. Jaw was a bit thinner, eyes were beadier and darker, and the nose was more sunken back, but the rest of the details are pretty close. Same drooly mouth, same slack-jawed grin, same snargly-ass teeth. At this point, my brain made an executive order to re-examine my previous decisions. Fuck the targets, fuck the brass, fuck the scouts, fuck not being a pussy, and fuck slow going. I tactically backed to the ATV, spent 0.000001 of a second making sure my guns are stowed securely and gunned that shit back to the garage. Once inside with a good 8 acres between me and the fuck beast of Pellucidar, I realize that I have a sworn duty to protect my farm. I already let one of my charges die under my watch. It's time to nut up or shut up. Cue arming sequence. Avi. Grabbed my dad's tack vest, have to cinch it a little tight, and his Night Owl 5X, load up with 320 round AR-15 mags loaded with 5.56 NATO, slap the third into my SIG and sling my new gun over my shoulder. My nugget takes mags, so I put one in with 5 to spare on my vest and shouldered that bad boy. Fuck me, I even slip a knife into my boot. There are floodlights strung up about the farm for entertaining or night work, switches are in the garage and balcony. Go for high ground. JPG. I tactically threw the house to the balcony and get ready for war. Not a moment too soon, start hearing squawks and gurgles and, I still get the giblies to this day, laughter coming from the chicken pen. Fuck this. I slam every switch and light up the farmyard like Rockefeller Square on Christmas. There it is, standing in the pen like pig-related. Its body was shaped like a fucking koosh ball, all matte black fur. Arms and legs were thin, but looked powerful and wiry. It was holding one of the hens with its head torn off, and staring straight at me. It was obviously a male of whatever the fuck species it was, and there was fucking blood hanging off its shitty beastcock. I unslung my sick and meg dump, not worrying about hitting anything, trying to hit that black cotton ball on stilts. I remember thinking, I hope I blow your shitty cock off, you piece of slime. Yes, the words my brain used were piece of slime. I scored at least 5 or 6 good thwacks, my target being only about 50 yards down range. It never moved the entire time, puffs of fur flying off of it. I ejected the mag, slapped a new one in, and took aim again. I'll never forget the look it gave me, framed by that green sight. It almost said, "Are you done?" I squeezed off a final shot at its fucking mouth. I hit it. I fucking know I hit it. I remember it almost in slow motion, the puff of fucking saliva and shit as my 5.56 NATO round introduced itself to its face at 3,000 feet per second. The thing started wheezing. Like a rusty gate being swung back and forth, that kind of EA sound. It dropped the hen and stepped over the chicken fence. I swear to fuck that this thing has either retractable legs, or its body is mostly puffy fur, because when it stepped over the fence, that leg almost disappeared. I wasn't gonna let it run away. Mag dump 2, the redumpening. I didn't score any hits though. Once it was over that fence, it dropped to all fours and scuttled off like some giant spider back to the crack in Satan's couch, all while wheezing that EA noise. I stayed up all that night, waiting for it to come back. Fed the animals with my cig over my shoulder, went to sleep, repeated the process until my parents came home. Never saw the chicken fucking shit weasel again. So, /K/, what's your take?